So the big news coming out of the wrestling world this week actually came from TNA and the announcement that they have indeed found a new television home for their programming, and that is Destination America, a part of the Discovery Channel family of networks. So the TNA fans that have been chomping down their fingernails and wishing and hoping and praying with crossed fingers that this company would find a new TV deal and be able to stay relevant, be able to stay on the air, be able to stay open as a company, can now breathe a little easier. TNA does indeed have a new television deal. It's bye-bye Spike TV and probably good riddance and hello Destination America. With all that taken into consideration, is this TV deal really that much of a good thing? Is it really something for people involved with TNA and TNA fans to get excited about? Because here's my thing. You're talking about going from Spike TV, a network that had availability in approximately 80 to 85% of U.S. television households, to a channel in Destination America that has availability, and I mean availability being a key word, in just over half of U.S. households. And on top of that, whereas Spike TV was relatively a basic cable channel, henceforth why it's available in over 80% of homes, Destination America is a premium channel available only on much higher cable packages that a much smaller percent than 52% of U.S. households will actually have. So whereas we used to make fun of TNA for not being able in some cases to get 1 million viewers on Spike TV with all of that availability in terms of households, let's just say for the heck of it, 100 million households, they maybe could get 1 million viewers the last few months. It's only 1% of available households that had Spike TV that are actually tuning in to watch the programming. Now you're talking about a basis where they're on a much lesser viewed channel, and as a result, those viewership numbers could dwindle significantly. You're also talking about a television deal that, with that in place, means that TNA, from a television standpoint in the United States, will no longer be the #2 wrestling company in terms of audience every single week. That honor will now go to ROH with their Sinclair television deal. So in some ways, this deal looks like a thing that salvaged the company, that kept them afloat for the time being, but can it ever really be something to celebrate? Can it ever really be that much of a good thing if you're looking at significantly dwindling and reducing the size of your audience on your main television product, which has been your emphasis and focus for so many years on a week in, week out basis? I find it very hard to believe that that's something worth celebrating. I find it very hard to fathom why that's necessarily a great thing or even a very good thing or frankly even a good thing. Now, while some people might sit there and argue that Destination America is somebody that actually wants TNA, that Spike TV didn't seem to really want TNA anymore, and maybe that, mutual attraction between Destination America and TNA could lead to some better things, it might quite possibly do that. But at the end of the day, if that channel's size and scope and importance and power in the television market is very small, TNA's power as a result in a correlation is also going to be small. So it doesn't matter necessarily how much they love having them and how much Destination America would want TNA as part of their family. If you're going to get a limited benefit from it, no matter what, you're going to get a limited benefit from it. So this is just one of these things where I understand why a lot of TNA fans are happy and excited. Be excited about the fact that the company's not shuttering up its shop. Be happy about the fact that as long as they're operational, they do still have a chance, which is absolutely true. But this television deal is not necessarily all of that great. Now, since TNA is a privately held company, do we necessarily know all the financials and the particulars in terms of what TNA is getting on a monthly or yearly basis from Destination America? No, we do not. But can we realistically expect them to be getting more money or even close to the same money that they got from Spike TV, getting 1 million, maybe to 1.3 viewers every single week? I think it's foolhardy to say so. Destination America being a newer channel, even being part of a bigger family of networks, how much financial stroke do they really have? How much can they really pay TNA? So this could lead to some significant concerns about, yes, TNA in theory could be alive, but how much are they going to have to scale back their operation in order to be able to function throughout the life of that television deal? There's a lot of reasons for concern. So it's like on the one hand, maybe there's just a little bit of reason for celebration, but I think the TNA fans that are praising this and trying to use this as their defense of the company, I think they're misguided. This isn't that good of a thing. But just like with anything else, it does provide an opportunity. And opportunity is critical. Opportunity is what TNA has so often screwed the pooch on through the first 12 and a half years of their existence. Now here you are. You're going to a new network. You're going to a new place. You have a chance to totally and completely rebrand yourself. Now, one concern I do have about TNA going to this network is that at least when they were on Spike TV, the product that TNA had was targeting a certain demographic that the network that they were on, Spike TV, was also attempting to target as well. That was the 18 to 34, 18 to 39 male demographic that advertisers usually pay attention to the most. So Impact Wrestling, TNA, their product in a way mirrored what the network was targeting. It made sense in the grand scheme of things in terms of the Spike TV television show portfolio. Destination America, how does that really fit with TNA? Well, based off of the way TNA was, it might not fit at all. But again, this is where it's going to be critical for TNA to understand that they have to completely and totally rebuild and rebrand themselves and do something entirely different. This is a chance for TNA to step back and say, hey, what do we want to be? Where do we want to go? How are we going to do it? How are we going to get there? And how long is it going to take? The whole notion of sitting there, frankly, being on Destination America now and playing to the ratings each and every single week, and oh my God, it went from a 1.0 to a 0.9. We need to change every fucking thing. Yeah, this guy is out for 6 months. We need to bring him back next week. That shouldn't be as much of a concern. Because frankly, you're not going to draw a very strong rating on Destination America. If you're drawing a 0.3, 0.4, you're drawing a 0.3 or 0.4. It's probably not going to drop off very much. It's probably not going to rise very much. So this is a chance to get that out of the thought process, get that out of the conversation, and it's a chance for TNA to do things the right way, the way they should have been doing things since they began in 2002. Basically, what TNA has a chance to do is to sit there and be a flagship show for a new and potentially growing network. So that way they are establishing a relationship that could grow as time goes along. If they are able to grow their product through that brand, that network is able to grow their brand through that product. It's a mutually beneficial relationship for all. TNA has a chance to basically sit there and say, here is everything that the wrestling business is not doing now. Here is everything that we can do to make sure that we can appeal to as many different types of wrestling fans as possible. The days of being able to rely on the old names that bring you a diminishing return from the WWFs and the ECWs and the WCWs, those days must go because it just cannot be financially feasible any longer to rely upon those guys to help you tread water. The time is come for TNA to establish a new identity with new faces, with fresh young talent, to build their own vision, to build their direction, to build their talent. Whereas WWE has a lackluster tag team division, here is a chance for TNA to have a great tag team division. Whereas WWE has a piss poor boring divas division, TNA can re-emphasize and re-push their knockouts division, something that comes to them in a lot of cases at a cheaper price than it does to push some of the male talent. Again, going counterculture to the top dog, going counterculture to the WWE, something that at different periods of time throughout the company's history, TNA has attempted to do and in some ways tried to do, but always because of leadership at the top and bad habits, fallen back to doing crap in a way that makes them seem like they just want to be the redheaded stepchild of the WWE and be like them instead of being different from them and being something unique from them and being something that could potentially compete with them in terms of the hearts and the minds of wrestling fans. TNA has a huge opportunity here. But don't fool yourself. It's not a great thing at this point. This was a desperation move. Frankly, I was hoping that TNA was going to get involved with WGN. Because here you're talking about a superstation. Here you're talking about a network that has even greater exposure and even greater reach than Spike TV, and it's not even close. So many more households that you could be involved with, and WGN has a history in previous years of wanting wrestling as part of its programming staple. You know, I understand where maybe TNA, there's some reports talking about that GN wanted to start them off in the second quarter, maybe the spring of 2015, and TNA was afraid of that. And they didn't want to be off of TV for so long. I look at it and say this: you're not drawing great numbers to begin with. You're going to be off the air pretty much from Spike TV until January anyways. Why not wait that couple of extra months? Make sure you get all of that proper infrastructure in place. Maybe in that time, try to do a couple of live events. Maybe that's where you do an overseas tour where you could actually make some money to help fund your company until the spring comes, and then get in lockstep with WGN and be off to the races from there. I understand the fear of being off of television potentially until April of 2015. But I think that fear was misguided. I believe in my heart of hearts that the better option for TNA was for them to end up with WGN for a multitude of reasons in terms of scope of the network, in terms of the reach of the network, in terms of how TNA could be featured on a network that primarily plays a lot of replays. Here's some first-run original television programming that the Superstation WGN lacks. So they would have been treated as a big deal. They would have been treated as, you know, a major player on that network. And again, you're talking about a lockstep in with a WGN brand that has been around for decades and generations, whereas a Destination America has been around for, what, 2-3 years? I mean, the opportunity is there. There's growth potential. But it's so often the case when it comes to TNA, potential is just that potential. And oftentimes that potential just ends up frustrating you and it becomes unrealized. So I hope that TNA realizes the challenge that they have in front of them as a company, embraces the challenge that they have in front of them as a company, and seizes upon the opportunity to change everything about the way they do business. Everything about the way that they do business. Focusing on better utilization of the media, and in particular social media and the interwebs, in order to better effectively market, promote, and advertise the product. It was bad enough when you were on Spike TV, yes, that they failed to advertise your product. They didn't do much to support the product. They just used TNA in a way to pimp out and prostitute out there for other Spike TV Viacom interests such as Bellator. And maybe that's a good reason for TNA to get away from Spike TV. Now they will be a featured program instead of being a program that draws an okay rating for Spike that is used to lead into other things and to help get the name out there for other things. But this is, again, an opportunity for TNA. For those that are saying this is the salvation of the company and that this is the greatest thing ever and this means TNA is rock solid awesome, stop drinking the Kool-Aid. This isn't a great thing. It can be a great thing. But am I all that confident that TNA is going to make something positive out of this? I'm not. I'm really not. I'm hopeful, but I'm not. And frankly, for a lot of the people that are sitting there and defending TNA on this and talking about this new TV deal could be potentially be great, it's so great until it's not actually a part of your cable satellite television package. How many of these people are actually going to go to like DirecTV and pay for the premium package in order to get this Destination America channel to be able to watch TNA Impact Wrestling? I mean, let's be realistic here. But this is a chance for TNA to reimagine themselves. This is a chance for TNA to repackage themselves. This is a chance for TNA to rebrand themselves. This is a chance for TNA to do everything different. Because frankly, at this point in time, 95% of what they've done over the years has been wrong, has been bad. Not every organization gets a chance to reboot themselves like TNA is getting a chance to reboot themselves with Destination America heading into 2015 and beyond. I just hope that TNA recognizes this, realizes this, and fully engages and starts that reboot and, gives themselves the opportunity to grow in the future.